Greetings and welcome to this edition of
Positronic Hypersonic.
Positronic hypersonic.
Positronic hypersonic.
I'm Barry P. Cook, and I'm here to talk to you about the latest episode of Doctor Who. It was called The Story and the Engine. And as it starts, a man named Omo sits in a chair getting a haircut as he tells a story about how he first met the Doctor at a time when his village was saved by the mysterious man in the blue box. As he speaks, images splay out on the wall behind him, depicting his story to the other men in the shop, eagerly listening. As he finishes, they all look at a pair of lights on the wall in tense anticipation, relaxing when they switch from red to green. Oma tells the others not to worry, that the Doctor always comes, and the light switches back to red as alarms blare and the room shakes. Meanwhile, in the TARDIS, Belinda insists that the Doctor take her home, and he says he's doing his best to accomplish exactly that, and then suggests that they head to Lagos, Nigeria, the communications hub of Africa, and a place that he loves, home of his favorite barbershop, to help calibrate the Vindicator. Belinda expresses confusion at this, as the TARDIS does the Doctor's hair, but explains that it's about community, about being himself, since it's the first time he's ever been a black man. Belinda understands and sends him off to enjoy himself in Lagos after he takes a Vindicator reading. The Doctor then winds his way through a market, greeting everyone he passes, before he comes to his friend Omo's barbershop, finding those assembled there in the middle of a story. As the door closes behind him, an alarm goes off in the TARDIS, alerting Belinda that something has gone wrong. The Doctor notices that everyone present in the shop is on missing posters outside, and he watches as a man's hair instantly grows back after being cut. The light in the barber shop flashes to red, people scramble to decide who still has a story left, and someone sits down, telling the story of Yo-Yo Ma and a shaman of music. As images flicker on the wall, the Doctor looks on in wonder and asks how it worked, and begins testing it by throwing out words from his travels, but it has to be a full story and it has to be with a haircut in order for it to work. The Doctor learns that a new barber has taken over the shop, that he came one day and that, as if by magic, the shop became his, just before a woman enters the barbershop. She is Abby, and she brings food. When the door closes behind her, an alarm goes off in the TARDIS again. The Doctor recognizes Abby but can't place her. The light switches to red again, and the Doctor sits down, telling the most powerful story he knows, not of weeping angels or ice warriors, but of an ordinary life, of Belinda Chandra doing her job, helping someone all night long, even on her grandmother's birthday, which resulted in a simple gesture of thanks 2 weeks later. Abby, meanwhile, watches the screen in another room, seeing it lighting up, noting that they're accelerating as the story ends. The barber is impressed with the power of the Doctor's stories and tells Abby, when she comes out, that they need to recalibrate the engine. Omo asks if they can be let free now that the Doctor has come, with his stories being effective, and his hair having grown in the interim more than any of theirs. But Abby locks the door, and the pair leave. The TARDIS sounds an alarm yet again, this time showing Belinda an image of the barbershop. The Doctor at this point is furious that Omo betrayed him, and is willing to trap him there, and refuses to listen as everyone tells him not to open the door. He forces it open with his sonic screwdriver, finding a vacuum on the other side, a vacuum with only a giant web and a large spider traversing it, the barbershop being on the back of the spider. The Doctor closes the door with great effort, and the barber emerges from the back room, explaining that the shop is in Lagos and outer space at the same time, as well as that only Abby and himself are able to travel between. Aside, Belinda finds herself lost, but is pointed towards the shop by a young girl, at which point she enters the shop and is glad to see the Doctor. Reunited, the pair confront the barber, calling him a coward who hides his face, and someone who has no real power. Rising to the taunt, the barber names himself, calling himself Anansi, Saga, Bastet, Dionysus, and Loki, the gods of stories. This prompts the Doctor and Belinda to burst out laughing, because the Doctor has met Bastet, Saga, Dionysus, and Ansansi. He partied with them. In fact, Anansi even tricked him into marrying his daughter Abina, though he didn't actually do it. He knows this man isn't any of them. And so the man admits he's the person who did their work for them. Wherever the gods went, he took their stories, cleaned them up, refined them, wrote them down, all for humans to repeat them, to keep the gods alive. Without him, the gods would not exist. The web outside is his creation as well, he says. It's called the Nexus, a web that connects cultures and ideas. He was so successful that the gods abandoned him, and now he wants vengeance. The engine winds down with so much power drained from the Doctor opening the door. Abby criticizes him, and the Doctor recognizes her at last, Anansi's daughter Abina. He says that he's sorry that he was unable to help her, but that he was a fugitive at the time, and has his own story, referring to when he was the fugitive doctor. The light turns red again, and the barber insists the doctor tell a story. The doctor refuses, demanding to know what vengeance is being planned. The barber relents and says his plan is to cut out the gods from memory when he reaches the center of the nexus, erasing them from existence. The doctor is horrified, as this will damage humanity and harm their ability to tell stories, to pass down information, and he insists that this is horrific. He refuses to sit down and speak. He won't let the spider go further. As the shop descends into chaos, with everyone arguing, Abina proclaims that she will tell a story and begins to braid the doctor's hair, and she tells a story of plantation slaves transmitting information through the braids on their hair, maps to freedom for anyone who could escape, hidden in a place where the overseers would never look. As the battery stabilizes, the doctor and Belinda run into the back room, finding themselves in a maze for which the doctor has the map on his head. The pair come to a room full of artifacts from various cultures and the ship's engine that runs on stories, a heart inside a brain. The barber enters the room behind them, having cut Abina off from the outside, as the doctor disrupts the flow of power, slowing the spider down but not stopping it. The barber insists that the doctor has done nothing, so the doctor suggests that they consider Ernest Hemingway, who wrote a story in 6 words. The doctor's 6-word story is, "I'm born, I die, I'm born." As he tells that story, energy begins to flow into the engine, never-ending energy, as the doctor's past lives flicker across the screens. But the doctor has disrupted the engine. It can't process the power. He tells the barber that now it's his choice. He can save the people in the shop by opening the door, but the engine will disintegrate. The barber then unlocks the door, and Omo, Abina, and the rest outside the room escape. The doctor sends Belinda back as well as he sits with the barber, talking to him, convincing him that he still has more to live for. The pair then escape the shop at the last moment as it collapses, the engine exploding, destroying the spider it rode on. Omo apologizes to the doctor and says that he should have protected the doctor, as they're part of the same community. The two then make up. Omo gives the barber his shop, saying that he's retiring, and gives him a name, his father's name, Adakatumbo. Adakatumbo then steps back into the barber shop, now his. The doctor and Belinda step back into the TARDIS and resume their voyage back to Earth in 2025. And that's where the episode ended. So I will say that I liked this episode better than I liked last week's episode, because at the very least, it was actually a doctor's story, where last week really wasn't. That said, I didn't like it very much. I mean, I guess in a sense, it's a classic Doctor Who story where the doctor has to confront an evil entity with a certain type of power, who's on a certain type of mission that is going to serve him or her, but harm humanity or some other race on some other world. But I don't know, it just seemed lackluster to me. I somehow didn't really feel the urgency of protecting humanity from the loss of their storytelling gods. I mean, the doctor makes the case verbally that it would be a bad thing, but they don't really give any examples of how, that would be the case to make you feel it. You sort of have to hear what he says and go, oh yeah, I guess that would be not ideal. But they don't really kind of punch that up with any depictions of what that would be like. So I didn't think that was great. I found the part about the doctor and Abina's history to be tacked on. I don't see why they put that in there. It didn't really add anything to the story. I mean, maybe it's what made her decide to help the doctor, that he sort of apologized for his past actions, but I don't know, that wasn't entirely clear, so I don't see why they had to do that. Though I did like the cameo by the fugitive doctor. I liked that character when it first appeared in the series, and always hoped that we'd see it again, and we got to very briefly, so I thought that was cool. But it does kind of throw a wrench in things, right? Because the doctor talks about how his current incarnation is the first time that he's been black. In fact, he says, it's the first time I've had this black body. He doesn't even say, first time I've been a black man. So what's he talking about? Because when he was the fugitive doctor, he was black. So that was like a big continuity error right there. So it was silly. And I kind of think the whole thing about the doctor being affected by being treated differently in some parts of the world, as he says, not the universe, not all of space and time, just the world, didn't make sense. For one thing, the doctor is so old and so wise and so experienced and so just above all of that as a result that it wouldn't matter. He wouldn't care how people thought of him or how they treated him. He's got friends and communities and allies and loves all over time and space for eons or centuries anyway. And so I can't see him as someone who would be bothered by being treated differently as a black person on one planet. I mean, maybe it's other planets, but he just says the world. So I didn't really get that. I don't think he would be bothered by that in the least. And I also think that he's such a charismatic entity and a fantastical entity that he could win anybody over anywhere in time and space in the universe, regardless of his skin color, at least to the point where they would stop treating him differently, if not renounce their racism, completely. So I didn't understand that. I didn't understand why they had to bring it up. I don't think it ruined the episode, I don't think it harmed the episode at all, but it does kind of make you go, wait a minute, that doesn't make any sense. Because, of course, a regular person would feel that way, being treated differently, but the doctor wouldn't. And I don't know, it just didn't make sense. It didn't make sense that he was so fond of this barbershop because, oh, I feel at home there and I feel like I fit in there. And no, there must be a million places in time and space where he's felt that way before and where he could still feel that way even in a black body. Because all of time and space in the universe is not Earth, where there's so much prejudice against black people in the world. Other places aren't like that. So there must be a million places where he could get that same feeling. So for it to feel unique to him, I mean, I suppose it could on a basis of, oh, I have an especially good relationship with the people there. And I've had especially good times there, as well as at other places. But I really enjoy this place, because it's on my list of favorite places. That I understand. But I didn't see why they had to throw in the bit about, oh, because I'm black and they're black. It didn't make sense in the context of a being like the Doctor. It just didn't make sense. So I thought they should have left it out. But again, it didn't ruin the episode. It's not, a horrible thing. It just kind of makes you go, what? What? And so I didn't like it. But, that's really all there's to say. It was a middle of the road, kind of a 2.5, 3 out of 5 for me. I didn't love it, but I didn't hate it. It just was And it was better than last week, which was a complete turd. So that's good. But I'm going to get out of here for now. I'll be back with another video soon. Until I return, I wish you peace and long life.